Okay, so we are picking back up for part number 2. We're going to do RJ's body. So we have this lined up. So right at the bottom we have this opening here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the white. I'll probably start in the back, but I'm going to work right along this line. And then I'm going to go around here to where it meets, and then I'm going to go up right through the middle of this one and then back around, and that's going to be where I attach his body. So I'm going to go fully around these two and then right from there to there. So I will throw that on real quick so you can see it. Okay, so I finished attaching that around down here and then across the middle of that one. So that's the first row. The next row I'm going to increase 6 spaced around evenly, just to give it a little bit more thickness around here, and then I'm just going to continue down with no increases. Also ended up with 70 stitches around here. Not really important, but just so you know. Okay, that's the second row done with the increase, so it flares out a little bit, and I'm just going to keep going for quite a bit. I'm not going to try to put any kind of the puffies or anything on the body, because that would just be way too complicated. Okay, so including the one that I attached on with, I have 41 total rows here. Now this body piece is actually supposed to be a little bit longer than the size of his head, but this is going to stretch out longer after it's used a little bit. So we have 41 rows there. So what I'm going to do now is find the center front stitch and the center back stitch, and I'm going to come to the front, and in that center front I'm going to put 3 stitches, go to the back and do the same 3 in the center back, and then do that a second time. So I'll pass over and do that twice on the center and the center. So I got first row of increase, second row of increase. This is the front. I've done the same on the back. And then I've worked my way back to the front. I'm going to work the center stitch. There, work the center stitch, and we're going to chain, let's see. Also, before I forget, make sure you secure that end where we attached. 11. I chained 11 and picked up the center of the back. Now the reason I did 11 was because it gives me an even 54 here, which is a multiple of 6, so my decreases will be even. So you can change this number if you need to, go up or down a couple. So I did 11 across here, picked up the center. I now have 54 stitches here. I'm going to do 2 rows of decreasing 6 stitches each row, which will just kind of bring it in a little bit. So I actually did 3 rows of decrease. 1, 2, 3. So that I can do the next row will be an increase 6, and that's going to give it a little bit of a poof at the leg. So row 4 of the leg, I'm going to increase 6 stitches. Okay, so there's row 4 of the leg with the increase done. It's going to be subtle, but we'll try it. And now I'm just going to single crochet around 4. So I've actually done 3 rows of decrease, which brings me down to 24 stitches. I'm going to change from white to this brown color that I have, and I'm going to just attach on here, and then I'm going to increase 6 stitches to bring it back up to 30. There's the first row. Brown is attached, coming back out a little bit. So I've got them front 2. Center front. I am going to increase 4 stitches right along the front here, and that's going to give him a bit of a toe. So I added 4 stitches along the front. I did every other. So there, here, and you can see it kind of pushes it out a little bit at the front. So I'm going to do that same thing again, just stitch around front and then put in 4 more stitches. Okay, so we have 1 row of attachment, 2 rows of increasing just on the toes, and you can see it's really starting to push out at the front now, and that's all we want, is just a little lip So now we're just going to go ahead and work in single crochet around for 5 rows. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows total. So now what I'm going to do is just do the flat bottom. So for this first row, I'm going to decrease 6 stitches plus however many I need to bring it back down to a multiple of 6. So because on the toe I added 8, I now have 2 extra stitches. So I'm going to do 6 plus 2, which is actually going to be 8. So this first row, I'll decrease 8, and then after that I will decrease 6 stitches each row until it's closed up. And that's 1 foot. Done. Just going to pick up the second piece and start there. Also make sure you have secured any loose ends on the inside. And we're just going to repeat. And we have got the feet done. The first toe is kind of pointed inward a little bit, so I did the second toes inward a little bit too. As long as they're symmetrical, it's fine. Next is the arms. Got the legs all done. This first foot kind of pointed in a little bit, so I'm trying to point this one in a little bit too, just so they're symmetrical. 4 rows. I'm going to flip the tail over to mark and just start single crocheting around for 3 rows. So now I have 7 total rows. Okay, I only decreased 1 row, so we're down to 18 stitches, and I have 8 total rows. So for this first row of white, I'm going to increase 6 stitches. Okay, so that's what the arm looks like, all done. Got them both made. Now I'm going to stuff them, of course. Now with the other ones, I've been putting them right up at the neck, but his is going to be probably down here a little bit. So we're just going to stuff that and sew it on. His arms are attached. It's RJ himself all done. All we gotta do now is make his bandana. Alright. Chain 2. Turn. Stitch 1 into the first, like that. Chain 3. Turn. Stitch across. There we go. Chain 3. Turn. Work across. Okay, so we're just going to do that same thing each time. Chain 3. Okay, so I've done 10 rows. I'm going to start chaining 5. So I finished 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 total rows. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to chain off 50. Chain 50, and then I'm going to turn it and work back across. So that's the first side. We're back here, and I'm going to chain another 50 off this side. So there's the chain 50. Now instead of working it back on the top, I'm going to turn it this way and work down on the bottom. So I worked back across to the bottom here, and I'm just going to stitch around here and up to here. Okay, see that smoothed it out a lot. back to here. I ended with a slip stitch, and I'm just going to cut this and weave in the two ends. That's it, guys. He's all done. Feet, got the little tail on today. If I were to change anything, I think I would make the ears longer. And maybe add a few rows in here to make them a little more fat. And this doesn't need to be so long, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap him up and throw him under the tree before she gets home. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.